Hello, vinyl community, and a licky bum bum down to you all. I'm Midge, a guy in a hat and a sign, don't forget the sign, who likes to talk inarticulately about records. Today's number is a green and gold fleck hat, that's where it's at. And I thought I'd talk to you today about a record shop I've just discovered. And it's always great to discover a new record shop, isn't it? You've always got that sort of tinge of anticipation before you go in, thinking, what sort of a shop is it going to be? Am I going to find that elusive gem I've always been looking for? So there's always that tinge of excitement before you go into it. And I don't know about you, but I think once you become like a seasoned record collector, crate digger of years standing, you sort of have a description in your mind of record shops, especially the ones you regularly go to. You sort of suss out the vibe more or less straight away, don't you? Because you've got those ones where you think they've got a great selection, great titles, but they all look in VG condition, but they're still asking for top prices for them, so you've got to be careful. There's those shops that all overprice the stock and it's the same stock every time you go because nothing sells. They're waiting for that one customer who's going to pay 400 quid for, I don't know, a lost Keith Harrison Orville album. And you've got those ones where it's sort of like, they look like bargains and you get them home and the condition's really bad, so you've always got to be careful. There's those shops where the second hand's good, but the new albums are really expensive. So I think as a record collector, I think you suss shops out pretty quickly. And it's always nice to discover a new one, especially when it sort of exceeds your expectations and it's really great. And I'm happy to report that this is one of them, so I thought I'd talk about it. And this shop is in Glossop, which is a town that's sort of located in the middle between Sheffield and Manchester. And it's sort of like, usually if I'm travelling to Manchester, you go across Snake Pass, and Glossop's the town you go through to get onto the Snake. And I have noticed the last couple of times we've been, which is not often, but I'm sure that's a record shop over there. And gone past it a couple of times. I had no reason to stop in Glossop because usually on the way to someone you don't really have time to stop. But recently I had a reason to stop in Glossop, so I thought I'll check it out, and I was really, really impressed. And the shop's called Coda Records. You all right, Caramac? All right. You probably heard him more than seen him, but this is Caramac, who likes to bark all the way through my videos, and he likes to put his own opinions on music in. So I thought it was about time you met him, so here he is. Sorry, he always likes to try and get a word in. The shop's called Coda Records, so it's obviously named after Led Zeppelin's final LP, and the shop uses the album covers typography on it, and it's only a small shop, but I thought I'll give it a go, and I walked in, and the lady behind the counter was really nice, really friendly, had a really good chat. And there should be more women in record shops, I think. She was lovely. She was telling me the shop's history and things like that, asking if I was after anything in particular. And it was great. And it sort of, it was great, but I felt I was being really rude because as she was talking to me, I was browsing. And as any record collector with a wife knows, hell hath no fury like a woman who's been sat in a car for over an hour while you've been going through vinyl. So I was very self-conscious of trying to get through everything whilst talking to this lady, and the missus is sat in the car sort of thing. And also on this occasion, my missus had the credit card because I didn't forgot to bring my cards, so obviously she knew what I was going to spend in there, which is always a bit whoa. But in the end, my wife ended up coming in and having a chat with this lady as well, so that was great. So that's why you should have more women in record shops. And also, I think my wife forgets about all the hours I've spent sat outside fitting rooms in clothes shops. So it's quid pro quo. But anyway, on entering this shop, it was really cool because you start flicking through the racks and you start thinking, actually, there's some good stuff here. So what's the catch? Because I'm quite cynical about things like that. So it's either going to be really overpriced or the condition is not going to be really good. But on this occasion, the prices were brilliant and the condition looked good as well. And I could have done some major damage in that shop. I had to restrain myself, particularly, like I say, on this occasion, because my wife would know exactly what I spent. But fortunately as well, it was near my birthday, so I had an excuse to spend a bit more money than I would normally do. And like I said, I went through all the racks, had some really good stuff. It was really hard to narrow it down and to choose what I was going to get. And also, they had some interesting things on the wall. They had a copy of Tim Hollier's self-titled album, singer-songwriter, that I don't think I've ever seen an original before. And I asked to have a look, and I did say on getting it down, I said, you know, this is probably going to be out of my price range, but I'd still like to have a look at it. And it looked in good nick, and, you know, I thought, I wonder how much it is, thinking, you know, potentially, you know, it could be like something magically within my price range. And I asked her, I said, I can't afford this, I'm sure, but I'd just like to know how much you put on it. I expected her to say something along the lines of about £100 or something. £400 it actually was. So once they picked me off the floor, I asked her to put it back quite quickly, and I carried on browsing. But yeah, I got some really good stuff. And also, I'm not the sort of person that's very good at haggling or browsing or anything, haggling or, you know, getting prices down and things like that. I'm quite shy and reserved, so I don't tend to do that very often, to be honest. But on this occasion, I must have had a bit of courage, and I just said, you know, I picked these out. What's the best price you can give me on them? And she gave me a really good price, so they all ended up all together. Not much more than a tenner each, sort of thing, and I've managed to fill a few gaps. And anyway, I'll show you what I picked up. So I've not listened to any of these yet or cleaned them up or anything, but I'll just talk you through what I've got. And they'll probably feature on later videos anyway as I get round to listening to them. But first of all, this is an album that I've been after for a while, and I was really pleased to see a copy at a good price. And this is Starjet's God Bless the Starjets. I've been after this for a while. It's sort of like it's an Irish band. It's power pop stroke punk, but it's like punk with a little P. If actually, I like that. I'll use that again. Punk with a little P, as in it's not full on punk. It's not particularly angry or anything. There's a lot of melody there. It's not particularly, you know, sort of brash or anything, but it's, you know, they are sort of like a punk band, Irish band. This album's from 1979. It's on Epic, and I think they only made this one album, but I saw as somebody recommended to me years ago, and I've been after a copy, but they're usually quite pricey, but this was a good price. So like I say, yeah, sort of punk with a little P, and it's on the orange Epic label. It's got an insert with the lyrics on it and some more band shots. But yeah, it's sort of like power pop, punk pop, really catchy, really exuberant. And yeah, I've been after that for a while, and really pleased to pick up a copy of that. So yeah, Starjets, God Bless Starjets. So the next thing I picked up was an artist that I've got a lot of albums by, and this year, the start of this year, I thought to myself, there's a lot of gaps in my collection. I mean, I'm not particularly completist, but there's some artists who I like to get, you know, more or less a full run of their albums if I enjoy them, and I just realised there's lots of gaps and stuff of the odd album here and there that I don't have. And I've been after this one for a while, but I've never found it in the right condition or the right price. And it's by T-Rex, Mark Bolan and T-Rex. This is Bolan's Zip Gun from 1975. Like I say, this is one of the albums I've been looking for a while, and I wanted the die cut, which this one has. And yeah, I don't know why. I just like the die cut, so I wanted to have a copy of the die cut. This isn't an original; it's a reissue on Fat Possum from 2011, which don't really bother me. Like I say, I'm not overly bothered about originals unless there's a good reason for having an original. But this was another gap in my T-Rex collection. A big fan of Mark Bolan and T-Rex, and I haven't heard this album, but I do have the one before it, Zinc Alloy, which sort of, it's crept a few funk and soul influences into it, and this is the one that follows it. And I think it was the start of the fall of Mark Bolan. I think his popularity started to dip around this sort of time, and I think this is his 10th album, and I think he only made 2 more after this. and I think it's when his star was falling a little bit. It's got The Light of Love on it, and I think that's the only one I know on this one. But his band had changed. Mickey Finn's still on in the lineup with percussion. Steve Curry on bass, and his girlfriend Gloria Jones on clarinet and vocals. Obviously, I think she was a big reason why he started adding the funk and soul elements into his albums. So yeah, pleased to pick that one up. It's been one I've been wanting for ages. I've no idea why he's called it Bolan Zip Gun, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a strange title, and I don't think there's many artists that put their own names in their album titles. It smacks a bit of ego, but I think Mark Bolan did have a bit of ego. But yeah, pleased to have picked that up. Next up, another band that I've got a few albums of. I didn't have this one, and it's Backdoor. I don't know if you've heard of Backdoor, but there's sort of like a jazz, funk, rock fusion trio. I was going to say group then, but it's not even a group, it's just like a trio. And I think I've got most of their albums. This is their fourth album. I think it's their last album from 1976, and I've never picked up this album. So it was a trio, Ron Asbury on alto, soprano, baritone, saxophones, electric and acoustic piano, Colin Hodgkinson on bass and fretless bass, and I think Adrian Tilbrook was the drummer that was added to, because I think the original drummer left before this album came out. And they're a really cool band. They're not talked about enough. They've been sampled endless times, probably most famously by the Beastie Boys on the first album. Like I said, this is their fourth. I've got all of them now, I think, and they're all worth seeking out. They're great albums, and they're sort of like got a different approach to it. They're not particularly jazz, they're not particularly rock, they're not particularly funky, but it's a mixture of all three, and it's amazing how much noise these three can make. There's lots of like funky bass solos and stuff like that. They're sort of like a band that takes influences from all. You can't really pigeonhole them, and they have got a very distinctive sound. And they do tackle lots of genres of music, and I've really enjoyed every Backdoor album that I've heard. So yeah, if you ever see any Backdoor albums, they're definitely worth picking up. And this one's called Activate, and it's produced by Carl Palmer, the drummer of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, obviously. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to listening to this. I've no idea what sort of route they're taking on this one, but I'm really looking forward to listening to this. So another great pick-up. Again, another band that I absolutely love, and this is a missing gap, or was, in my collection, and it's Caravan. So this is Caravan and the New Symphonia. This has been a gap in my Caravan collection for years. I don't know why, because I love Caravan and I've got most of their albums. I'm missing a few of the later ones, but I don't know why this was from their like classic period. So I don't know why I've never picked this up. Whether or not because it was a live album or because it's got like an orchestral backing, which I'm not a big fan of usually. But yeah, it was a good price. It's on the classic Deram label. And I've always liked the Deram label. And one of the strange reasons is because the label is a tiny bit smaller than most labels. I don't know why they did it like that, but it doesn't even cover the whole run-out bit. So, yeah, just a strange quirk that I like. So, yeah, Caravan and New Symphony from 1974. Obviously, it's a live album. I think it was while they were touring the Girls Who Grow Plump in the Night album. So there's some tracks from there on it. It was arranged by Simon Jeffers, who was the key primary mover behind the Penguin Cafe Orchestra, are also great. So I think he arranges some of the tracks on here. And it's only got 5 tracks on it, because obviously Caravan do extended workouts and things like that, but there's 2 tracks on here which aren't available on, or especially written for this LP, aren't on other albums. You've got Virgin on the Ridiculous, which is just one of the reasons why I love Caravan, their double entendre album and song titles, and their sort of like their humour and irrelevance, and Mirror for the Day. And there's also versions of For Richard, which is a classic, and The Love in Your Eye. And obviously the thing with Caravan, it's so hard to keep up with the, because he had that many sort of changing members. This is a lineup that included obviously Pi Hastings, Jeffrey Richardson on electric viola, Richard Cullen on drums as usual, John G. Perry on bass guitar, and Dave Sinclair on keyboards. Absolutely love Caravan, and like I say, it's great to get this as to plug a gap, and I'm looking forward to listening to this. Next up, an artist that I've only just recently got into the last couple of years. In fact, I've only got one of his albums, and it's one of those artists when I picked it up, people have been telling me to check him out for years, and I don't know why I haven't, and his albums are great. I think mainly because whenever I've seen his albums, they're either really expensive or they're battered for some reason. They seem to be well loved and well listened to albums, and it's J.J. Cale. So I picked up Troubadour a couple of years ago and really enjoyed it, and they had a copy of this album. I think this is his 6th album, Shades, and it's in really good nick, really cheap. It's on the Shelter label, the cool sort of spaceship, sort of sci-fi moony label, and yeah, looking forward to listening to that one. So I really should get some more J.J. Cale. And this album as well, I think it was recorded in Nashville, because there's so many, there's some big names on here. There's Russ Kunkel on drums, you've got Carol Kay on bass, so that's, 2 big names for a start. Ken Buttrey, Tommy Cogbill, David Briggs, Reggie Young. So I think were they part of the Nashville Cats or some sort of house band in Nashville? So there's some big names on here. So I'm really looking forward to listening to this one. So yeah, another J.J. Cale in the collection. Next up, soul album. Cheers. What a great cover this is. The Detroit Emerald. You want it, you got it. I mean, look at that sleeve. Sort of classic 70s soul sleeve that just got so much atmosphere and just fantastic. And I've got a Detroit Emeralds album called Feel the Need. I've had it for years and I go back to it so often. It's got some great songs on it and great arrangements. It's sort of like the really smooth melodic soul. It's just fantastic. And when I saw this in the racks, I thought, I've got to get this. It's just fantastic. So you've got, I think this was it's on Janus, yeah. I'm not sure if this is a UK pressing. I'm guessing it is, because I think the US, they were on Westbound, the home of Funkadelic. So I'm guessing this is a UK pressing on the Janus label, or Janus, from 1971. Like I say, when I picked this up, I wasn't sure. It's one of them things where you think, have I already got this album with a different sleeve? Because it's got the track Feel the Need in Me, which is one of their biggest hits. So, and it's also on the album I've got, so I'm guessing that it was re-recorded, or when they changed labels that they included the song, or whether or not it was a big hit at the time, and it was a big hit once they changed labels. Excuse me. So I'm not sure whether one of those times where I thought, have I already got this with a different sleeve, so I pick it up or not? And I thought, I love that sleeve, so I bit the bullet and got it, and I haven't got it. So it was just that track is duplicated for some bizarre reason. So the Detroit Emeralds, like I say, smooth melodic soul. They were like a brothers band. I think there was 4 of them initially, but 2 of them left, and so they became a 3-piece. And they look like they've escaped from some sort of Mario Brothers movie on the back. But 70s did some good things and bad things, but that look is a bit, it's a bit like an arcade game, isn't it? But Abram Tillman was the guy who wrote the songs, great arranger. He had his brother Ivory Tillman and James Mitchell. And like I say, I've not heard this one yet, but the other album I've got is absolutely superb. I think they recorded at Willie Mitchell's High Studios. He doesn't produce it, but I think it was his studios they were recorded at. But Feel the Need in Me is a great song, so I've got high hopes for this, and it's really cool to get that really cool sleeve and stuff. So you don't often see Detroit Emerald's albums. So I wasn't leaving this behind, despite the fact they look like the Mario Brothers. So yeah, really chuffed to get that one. And lastly, a bit of an oddity really. I've known the song for years. Sort of like a studio band. In fact, they've got a sort of strange history to them. But it's Mr. Blow and Grooving with Mr. Blow. I'm sure you've all heard the single from 1970s. Really big instrumental hit. Got to number 2, I think. Kept off the charts by Engelbert Humperdinck. So yeah. Apparently, the instrumental Grooving with Mr. Blow was a B-side from an American band called Wind, and the guy, I think a radio. The story goes anyway that the radio station in the UK played the B side rather than the A side, and the guy who worked at DJM Records heard it and loved it and thought, "Will we record it and put it out ourselves?" So the backing musicians on here include the sort of like the DJM house band. So they included people like Caleb Quay, Ian Duck, Roger Pope, who were all members of the band Hookfoot, and they all played on Elton John's early records. And in fact, I think there's an Elton John connection here. Not on here, but I think he did play on some of the B-sides of the Mr. Blow singles. So yeah, there's quite an interesting backstory to this album, which I'll probably go into a bit more when I've actually got used to the album a bit more. But yeah, I've always been after a copy of this, and I've never seen one in a good condition. Obviously, you've got the amazing Alan Aldridge artwork on the front. He also did some album sleeves in the 70s. I think he did one for the Beatles. Definitely did one for Elton John, Captain Fantastic. So he got his distinctive artwork on there. And yeah, just a quirky, cool little album. I have had a quick listen to this, and it sounds really cool. It's all instrumental, obviously, but it's sort of got it has got a groove on it. It's just really cool. There's lots of that sort of plucked bass sound, quite funky. There's some covers on here, Land of a Thousand Dancers, If You Gotta Make a Fool of Somebody. But yeah, it's sort of like one of those albums you can imagine people putting on and dancing about at parties and things like that. Like I say, it's on the Dick James Music label, on the Silver Line. I don't know if that was a budget subsidiary of it or anything like that. So yeah, really, I've had a quick listen to this and really enjoyed it. It's got a really sort of like funky sound to it, and yeah, looking forward to playing that a bit more. But yeah, unusual, and I think they were basically a one-hit wonder. I think this album bombed, and I think they did release some follow-up singles, but nothing came of it. But yeah, it's just yeah, cool little quirky album. So pleased to pick that up. So yeah, that was 7 albums from Coda Records in Glossop. So if you're passing by, really recommend you going in and checking it out. I'll definitely be going back, I think, hopefully at some point. But yeah, great shop and great finds. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later.